Hi there, I'm Lisa Starr, the Grow Well educator with We Work Well, and we're here today with Laura Gerchik, who is the General Manager of Biologique Recherche in the United States. Laura is based in New York in the epicenter of the coronavirus epidemic or pandemic, and so it was really great to touch base with Laura and see how she's making out there in New York. So welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks for having me. We work well.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So Laura, tell me what it's been like to be in New York in the past, 10 weeks now?
Yeah, it's obviously been challenging. We've seen different countries go into confinement earlier, and then we followed kind of state by state what was happening. Due to the nature of New York and public transportation and people kind of living in very tight quarters, the situation definitely feels a little bit different here. We have less space, unfortunately. Apartments tend to be smaller. We don't necessarily have outdoor space. And, we've had mounting concerns with, many cases and also trying to look towards the future with maybe a little bit less information about when the deconfinement is going to be and what the instructions for that are going to look like.
Well, Laura told me before we started recording that she's been working 15-hour days in her apartment, busier than ever. Isn't it funny how that's happened? Like, we're not traveling and yet we're working harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's we're obviously working very differently. We're working towards very different goals, but I think that we definitely have a feeling and a sense of responsibility to the community that we work with, to all of our partners. I think for sure, all of us who are employed are very grateful that we, have jobs, and we are very conscious of the fact that that's not the case for a very large part of the population. So I think that that's also driving us and motivating us and giving the ambition and kind of the steam and energy we need to kind of, push through all of the work that's coming and all of the challenges that's coming with this period.
So how has BR been able to stay in front of your spa clients in this time?
Well, we really went into very early onset crisis management mode. We got together with the entire team. We reviewed every single aspect of our business, from the social media messaging, which we really wanted to ensure would never look like it was skewed towards any types of sales. We launched a hashtag wellness with BR. We did online yoga, online Pilates classes, offering a little bit of wellness to our community who needed it. A lot of videos about product applications. Much like a lot of other brands out there, we kind of shifted the model. We started to do drop shipping for clients that didn't have any supply chain resources. And so we've really just been focused on one thing. Our partners have been our main priority, and we've just wanted to be a lifeline for those partners. And I think what a lot of people identify us with as a brand is working with, these large hotel spas and large spa partners, but a lot of our business is actually very small businesses, in some instances, single estheticians spread across the United States. So it was very important to us that we became almost a service point, sending information like, the iSpa reopening checklist, sending information very early on about PPP loans and how to apply for them, and just trying to communicate things that could be useful to all of our partners.
Well, that was great for you to do that because, everyone is looking for info, as you said. No, none of us have ever done this before, and it's just like, okay, what do we do next? So you mentioned community. I mean, have you been able to have any initiatives for BR with local communities?
Yeah, absolutely. I think BR as a company, we really are solely focused on doing things for the good that they do. Don't very much communicate on those. But like I think everyone, we have had solidarity in mind. And so we've sent products and different types of products, hand creams, face creams to healthcare workers that were obviously suffering from all the hand washing and from the wearing of all the masks. We actually in France started producing the disinfectant gels for the hands, shipping those out to a lot of our worldwide markets. And in addition, when a lot of our partners or some of our hotel partners put solidarity funds together for the employees that were furloughed or their staff, we've contributed, we've really tried to respond to all of those requests.
Wow, that's very generous of you. I mean, because that's a lot. And I'm sure those nurses were so happy to get some BR products. It's great. Many brands have done something similar for healthcare workers, and it's really wonderful for them. I hope it helps.
Yeah, so do we. I mean, it's really a very, very small contribution to what they're all of the efforts that they're putting forward for all of us.
So now we're looking forward. We're starting to see reopenings last week, this week in some of the southern states, and how does DR as a company prepare for that staged reopening?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I will say, obviously this has been a terrible situation for the world and at large, but it has brought us a lot closer to our partners. During this time, we've tried to really connect with everybody, and when I say all of our partners, I really mean that. All of our account executives have reached out, and we've been doing daily webinars and education, and so we've really tried to keep in communication with everyone. We've been monitoring literally on a case by case basis all of our partnerships to see kind of how and when they're reopening. In fact, part of our webinar series now is about inviting spa partners who are reopening to share their reopening experiences with those who haven't. So we're really trying to kind of, we are also looking to the future. And for us, because we're such a high touch business and a lot of what we do goes through on-site education, we're now looking at this next phase of how do we ensure our employees' safety, when they're traveling, when they're coming back to the office, when they are educating and training, how is this new normal going to look? We have a lot of demand. We actually have had a ton of prospective business during this time, which we've
Wow.
also, yeah, it's very surprising, which we've really put on hold because our entire focus has been to support our existing partnerships. But that's also going to look, that's going to be part of our ramp up, exiting this COVID situation is, how are we now, and when are we going to be reopening for, potential new prospective business and people that wanted to work with us that were already in the pipeline going into this COVID.
Well, perhaps it's good from a vendor perspective that it's not all open at once, right? I mean, you're going to have a staging across the US and you can maybe ease into it a bit. I don't know. How does that work for you regionally?
I think it is good. It has its advantages. I mean, I think what we're trying to do is learn from everyone's experiences and be able to share those, and so help our community to apprehend to a certain extent what that could look like for them. So having some of the early openers serve as lessons and guidelines for those who are to come. Most certainly, we are, trying to cater to the regions individually and be very, very close in monitoring kind of what their business is going to look like. A lot of them are taking a lot less clients. There's an economic aspect to this as well. There's a big economic impact to not being able to be at full capacity. So we're really trying to kind of monitor the situation and take that into consideration when we're projecting, things like, if we want to be optimist growth, but projecting what the next couple of months are going to look like.
So Laura, how do you see the spa business in the future? Do you think there will be permanent changes to the way we do things from this experience?
I definitely think that there are takeaways. I think there are certain initiatives that have been launched during this time that are going to be maintained by a lot of brands, including our own. I think pre-COVID, there was maybe a focus on the type of content that you're doing and the type of communication. And I think COVID has really just shifted that messaging to whatever is genuine is good. And so maybe a little bit less hyper focused on exactly, making everything perfect, right? I mean, we're having this call and I'm sitting in my kitchen with you right now. And so, the important thing is that, we're just sharing the messaging and our core values with the community. From a, hands-on perspective, I mean, I think that, and we're starting to see and hear from those who are slowly reopening that, touch is something that is going to remain very important to some people. I think there's going to be a bit of a split between, a very healthy subset of the population who's going to feel more comfortable being able to expose themselves to going to, spas and receiving treatments, manual treatments, all within, of course, a lot of safety guidelines. I mean, I saw the other day that Lemmy was launching this this kind of the shield, and I've been meaning to reach out to them. I think it's wonderful, it's brilliant, and it's definitely one of the types of solution that we're going to be looking at and looking for in the spa industry. And beyond that, I think, there's obviously another subset of the population who is maybe more at risk, and those, that subset of the population is going to need to be a little bit more cautious, and they probably are also the subset of the population who will need that high touch approach the most. So we're going to have to find ways, innovative ways, to be able to, create an environment of comfort and feeling of safety. And yeah, I think, just with experience, little by little, these reopening is going to give us a wealth of knowledge as to what to expect.
Oh, I agree. It is hard to anticipate. And as you said, there is an economic, fallout that you can only be at 25 or 35% capacity. I mean, it's really all about the desk in public areas, right? In the spa, when you're in the treatment room, you're not near other people, only your provider, but so you could have 10 treatment rooms and they could all be sequestered, but the common areas are the sticking point here. So it's going to be interesting to watch everybody kind of ease back into it. I do agree with you. I think that we're going to probably see some of these masks and shields continue until people feel comfortable, or maybe forever, who knows? I mean, we all thought that after 9/11, how would things change? And we've also seen that consumers can have a short memory sometimes. I know they're anxious for service, and you've probably seen this in the places that are opening, they're getting booked.
Yeah, and I think, there's also been this incredible shift, to self-care during this period. I think that people have really clung onto this notion that, while being at home, there needs to be some kind of mental well-being. And for a lot of people, it's really proven to be through skincare, through at-home wellness, and all of these different things that I think are going to lead and contribute to kind of the ramp up back to some form of normal after COVID. And so, for a lot of our partners, I think to a certain extent, I think some of these smaller spas may actually be in a better position with less common areas and with, a higher capacity, especially if you're a single esthetician, to really manage that flow of traffic and to manage those hygiene protocols and so forth, than some of our larger ones. And we definitely see that, everyone is not hurting the same. The hotels have really been unfortunately unable to do anything, whereas smaller independent spas have been able to take advantage of things like drop shipping. But when your staff is entirely furloughed and you're not even allowed to communicate, then there's an impossibility to do anything.
No, you're right. I mean, this might be a resurgence opportunity for the individual spas. I mean, we know that in the U.S., the day spas far outnumber the hotel spas, and maybe this is a chance for them to, get some limelight for themselves, which is nice. So thank you again for joining us in this busy time of your crazy schedule. I hope that things calm down for you soon.
Thank you so much. And, we obviously, I hope they pick up for us soon in a different way. I would say, we're just happy to really, serve our community of partners and try to be very close to them. So if it gives us more work because they're reopening, I will, for one, will be very happy to take it on.
Well, for sure, we know we can count on BR for support. Always, they're always behind their partners, as you're showing. So thanks again, Laura, for taking the time to chat with us, and good luck with the reopening.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thanks again for having me.
Sure.